Chapter 11, the 2000 Senate race. Hillary Clinton's campaign for president is actually her third run for public office, but it was her first campaign for senator from New York that requires the closest scrutiny. The lessons from that race, one of a political novice, give us the insight into just how far the Clintons will go to win an election. It all began in 1998 when New York senior senator and elder statesman Daniel Patrick Moynihan announced that he would not seek re-election in 2000. Calls for another Clinton candidacy began to echo through the halls of Washington. After months of careful calculation, the First Lady traveled to Moynihan's farm in July of 1999 and announced that she would be embarking on a, quote, listening tour across New York to find out if the people really wanted her to run.
You know, I'm starting a listening tour of New York, and I thought it only proper that I start by listening to probably the wisest New Yorker that we can know of at this time.
It makes one wonder what she actually heard, because the troubles began almost immediately. Like Robert F. Kennedy before her, Hillary Clinton wasn't from New York. She had never lived here, and some people with too much time on their hands tried to count the number of days she had actually spent in the state. The carpetbag label was immediately tossed around, and the Clintons began to combat it, looking positively silly at every turn. First, they claimed that a young Hillary used to drive through upstate New York as a kid with her family on their way to vacation in Pennsylvania. Now, if that mattered, then everyone in this country is probably qualified to represent the state of New Jersey. Then they tried to portray her as a lifelong New York Yankees fan. What? Of course, having grown up outside of Chicago, she was already on record being a Cubs fan. She would later say that she was actually a big Mickey Mantle fan, who was, of course, from Oklahoma, begging the question why she didn't go out there as a Sooner. But these superficial problems were just the tip of the iceberg. Just a month after she announced her listening tour, her husband pardoned 4 Puerto Rican terrorists who were members of the radical group known as the FALN. Now, you remember the guy seen on this videotape making bombs. The move was seen as a blatant attempt to curry favor with New York's Puerto Rican community, and it was so controversial that Hillary herself had to denounce it. Then came her disastrous trip to Israel when she kissed the wife of Yasser Arafat. That's the Nobel Peace Prize-winning terrorist Yasser Arafat. Of course, that didn't sit well with New York's Jewish community, who raked her over the coals for that. Pardoning terrorists and kissing their spouses wasn't exactly the start that she was looking for. But still, she must have heard something we didn't on her listening tour, because in February of 2000, Hillary officially announced her candidacy. The race looked for a while like a potential showdown with New York City's Republican Mayor Rudy Giuliani. But the mayor dropped out of the race in the spring after announcing that he was battling prostate cancer. So instead, Hillary's opponent would be Long Island Congressman Rick Lazio, who had been a part of the Gingrich-led Republican Revolution of 1994. Throughout the summer, the two sides hammered away at each other, running nasty and sometimes creative television ads.
Over the last 5 years, upstate New York is ranked near the bottom of the nation in job growth. And since 1992, 170,000 young people have left. But Rick Lazio doesn't think the area needs targeted economic help. Guess it's hard to find a solution when you can't see the problem.
The one time she got her hands on something was healthcare, and look what a disaster that would have been, even wrecking our teaching hospitals. I pay enough taxes now. I don't need Hillary hitting me up for more. Lazio's actually done something for New York, not just talked about it.
But the most dramatic moment came in September during the first debate in Buffalo, New York. Now, stop me if any of this sounds familiar. The moderator was Tim Russert of NBC News, who clearly irritated Hillary by asking her about the famous, quote, vast right-wing conspiracy soundbite on the Today Show.
In January of '98, you went on the Today Show and talked about what had occurred at the White House. Do you regret misleading the American people? And secondly, in that same interview, you said that those who were criticizing the president were part of a vast right-wing conspiracy.
Well, you know, Tim, that was a very painful time for me, for my family, and for our country. It is something that I regret deeply that anyone had to go through. And I wish that we all could look at it from the perspective of history, but we can't yet. We're going to have to wait until those books are written.
Then Lazio took the senator by surprise by marching across the stage and asking her to sign a pledge not to accept soft money.
Right here, sign it right now.
Well, we'll shake on this.
No, I want your signature, because I think that everybody wants to see you signing something that you said you were for.
The New York Times reported that Clinton supporters believed Lazio was being disrespectful and, quote, bullying her in a way he would not have bullied male opponents. Now, where have we heard that before? In any event, Hillary withstood Lazio's challenge and won the seat convincingly with more than 55% of the vote to Lazio's 43%. But that's not the end of this chapter. Shortly after she took office, in the storm of the Clinton pardon scandal, questions were raised about Hillary's campaign. President Clinton reduced the sentences of 4 residents of the Hasidic Jewish community of New Square, New York, after they had been convicted of defrauding the federal government of $30 million. During the election, the town voted almost unanimously for Hillary Clinton. 1,400 votes for Hillary and only 12 for Rick Lazio. 6 weeks after the election, Bill Clinton had taken a meeting with a community leader who asked him to pardon the 4 men. Then presto, their sentences were reduced. The Justice Department investigation decided there was no evidence of a quid pro quo, meaning votes for pardons. But Clinton defenders argued it didn't even matter. Even if there was, no law had been broken. But that episode, like so many others in the 2000 Senate race, illustrates how far the Clintons will go to win. Some of it feels like deja vu. Some of it makes us worried for the future. In either case, this is just another Clinton chapter that will never really be closed.